Food, a basic necessity for human survival. Despite its importance, the World Food Program estimates as many as 828 million people go to bed hungry every night, with 49 million people in 49 countries on the brink of famine.
30% of crops worldwide are lost due to infection. It is essential that we work to reduce pathogens in order to fight against world hunger and food insecurity.
To find out a bit more about crop diseases, more specifically fungal diseases, we went to an expert on the topic.
This is Dr. Matthias Kreischmer, a postdoc and research associate at the Michael Smith Laboratories at UBC.
His research focuses on fungal pathogens, more specifically ones that affect corn. According to research published in May this year, corn has long been the focus to improve food security and the nutrition and health of vulnerable populations.
We lose a lot of food on the field, in the field, by different kind of pathogens that can be bacteria, virus, or fungi. And if you can reduce that, then you actually have improved food quality, food security, and crop production.
Here he explains that this pathogen costs billions USD per year, and that's just one crop.
Mustilago causes like $1 billion in damage in the US alone per year.
Is that
So
the
in corn.
pathogen? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. $1 billion per year.
Yeah, but that is only the US, and it's only one crop and only one pathogen right there.
Yeah,
there's more than one pathogens of corn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is his team doing to specifically address this?
So first we would have the lab, we would see what we see there, then we would go back to the plant to see if it has an impact.
Right.
What we identified in the lab.
Yeah.
And if that is the case, then we would, if it's a promising target, for example, for fungicide development, then you would go further and would try to find a fungicide which targets one of those important steps. And then you could go from there.
Try to reduce the impact that it has on crop yield.
So fungicide development at the moment is usually you screen a library of compounds, and it's like you put it on and you see, oh, the fungus is not growing anymore, perfect. Then you try that, oh, is it also working if the plant is infected? So it's untargeted, you just scan and you don't know what it actually inhibits or what is the fungicide target.
Yeah.
Our approach would be then, well, you know what is important for the fungus to be pathogenic, then can you find a target compound which actually inhibits that function?
What about this is new and groundbreaking?
The question was what nutrients are playing actually a big role in the pathogen progression and the disease development. And what we found is that it's actually a combination of sugar, which was suspected and expected. I mean, it's normal.
Sugar.
And sugar, we all like sugar, including pathogens. But also that organic acids actually have a big impact on the disease progression and development. And that was the big point. Before, everything was pretty much focused on glucose or sugars. And we also looked at fatty acids, organic acids, and how they contribute to virulence, and they were pretty much overlooked. So organic acids, nobody has had an idea that they actually have that dramatic impact on pathogen development, disease development, especially in that class of pathogens.
Yeah.
So you would say that was probably a big breakthrough in your research.
Yeah.
I see.
So scientists were marveling for like hundreds of years why that kind of class of pathogens can only grow in plantae. So they always need a plant. You cannot grow them in the lab. You can only get to certain stages in the lab, if at all. And so now with that information, we can kind of mimic the plant in the lab without having the plant.
Oh, I see.
And we can start to, well, try to get the fungus to fulfill its life cycle.
Yeah.
So where do they go from here?
I have another question about like the genetics in terms of, like, you said that there were some other like pathogens that you were taking with that take different hosts. So like as opposed to like just corn, there's like some other ones.
Yeah.
I was
So
what kind of similarities do they hold?
So they are all fungal pathogens. They are biotrophic fungal pathogens. the host range is most of the time pretty near home. So they infect maybe 1 or 2 plants. They have different disease progression and they present different diseases, but they all fall into that I can only live on a plant class.
Oh, okay.
And some of them are pretty severe in the aspect of destructibility of crops. So rust fungi, for example.
So you say that like this is not just like a problem just specific to like one plant. This is something that like
So it looks like that the whole group, as far as we tested.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean there's hundreds or thousands of it, and we didn't test them all.
Yeah, of course.
We only tested a couple, but they all behave similar, and so we would assume that what we discovered is then also important for those diseases, and hopefully we can transfer our knowledge from our organism, our model, to the other ones.
It can be humbling discovering that something on the cellular level has such an impact on a global scale, and this impact is directly in the form of reducing food insecurity. Food insecurity is simply defined by Feeding America as a lack of consistent access to enough food for everyone in the household to live an active, healthy life. Let's provide an example. If you're a local farmer and you grow 10 fields of crops, you use 5 to feed your own family and 5 to sell at the market, to not only feed other families, but also to get money to buy the other items that you don't grow yourself. Suddenly, 3 of your fields are wiped out by a pathogen. You now have 5 to feed your family, but only 2 to bring to the market. Other families no longer have access to your crops, and you no longer have access to the money needed to buy other products. Food insecurity rises sharply. Dr. Kreischmer's research puts us on a path to maintaining all 10 fields and allowing food for all.
While this may not be the version of food insecurity 1 in 10 households experience here in Vancouver, it exemplifies the importance of plant pathogen research like that of Dr. Kreischmer. To learn more on food insecurity, we encourage you to visit some of the following resources.